All right, this video lesson is over solving inequalities. All right, solving inequalities is very, very closely the same to solving equations. So I made a Venn diagram to show the similarities and the differences. First of all, equations have to have an equal sign. So I'm gonna write an equal sign right here. I'm just gonna go ahead and say what that is. Equal sign. All right, and then the inequalities does not have equal signs anymore. It's got inequality symbols like this: greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. I am not going to write all the words for that. You can if you want to. The other thing about equations and inequalities is the fact that they both have a variable. We're solving for a variable on both of them. Basically finding the missing number, like what the number could be. Now here's where it gets tricky. For equations, the variable is one specific answer. As in x equals 3 or x equals -1/2. There is only one answer for the equation that we are given. Whereas inequalities, the answer is technically a set of numbers. So whatever answer we get, if it's like x is greater than 3, that means there are all the numbers greater than 3 that are the answer. Same for x is less than 3. That means the answer is all the other numbers that are less than 3 also. So it is a set of numbers. It's pretty much depending on what sign you have, whether the values are greater than whatever you said. So we're still finding that one important number, except for these, the answer just is gonna have it's gonna take on a little bit of a different meaning. So something that is important whenever we actually solve these inequalities and equations, they are solved the same way. It's just we are now using these symbols instead of this symbols. Solved using the same steps. I meant to say using right here. Solved using the same main steps. Now, the same main steps as in the steps that are in pathway 1B5. It tells us to distributive property first. It tells us to combine like terms on the same side. Then we combine like terms on the different sides using inverse property. And then we isolate the variable, okay? All right, and then there is one final difference between inequalities and equation, and it is something specific for inequalities. So please put a star and say that it is a rule, a new rule that happens at the end. So at the very end, if you ever divide by a negative, which you will see some examples here in a second, we have to flip the way the sign looks. Flip the sign of the inequality. So let's take some example problems and figure out what we're doing here. Okay, so just like an equal sign, I would have drawn my line through there just to, kind of create the feeling that we're working with an equation. The first thing we do on equations, we do distributive property. So this is a lot of equation practice here in this lesson, except the only difference is the answer having this symbol instead of the equal sign. So I'm distributing 2 into the x and into the 12, and I'm going to rewrite it after I do my distributive property. This side we did not do anything with whenever it comes to distributive properties, so I'm just going to rewrite that real quick. 2 times x is 2x, and 2 times 12 is 24. Remember, if I go too quick for you, please slow down the video, pause, take a second to copy, get caught up, whatever you need to. But don't let me go too far ahead and you not get what you need. All right, now let's continue. Let's look for like terms on the same side. I have like terms here, and of course, here are my constants. I don't have any like terms on the same side that I could put together because these are different. They're not the same like terms. So I'm going to go ahead and move to combining like terms on different sides. So let's take this 2x and move it over here, or we could take this 4x and move it over here. It is kind of up to you guys. For the sake of this example, oh no, I'll just go ahead and do the easy way. Let's take the 2x and subtract it from both sides. All right, so that goes away. I am left with 2x over here because 4x minus 2x is 2x plus 4, and then 24 on this. Notice I'm copying the same exact symbol all along the line. I'm not putting an equal sign anymore. All right, so I still have some like terms. I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. I am left with 2x. And then one more time, divide by 2. X is greater than or equal to 12. Oh, darn it. Well, that's supposed to be 4. That's supposed to be 20 because 24 minus 4 is 20. And then 20 divided by 2 is 10. My bad, guys. Sorry if that was confusing. All right, that is our answer. So our answer does not say that specifically x is 10. It's not 10 specifically, but it is anything greater than 10. X is greater than or less than 10. Here's what this tells me. So I'm going to show you how to check your calculations on the calculator. Or check your, oh guys, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you couldn't see it. My bad. I'm going to check my answer using the calculator. So what I do is I am going to type this exact equation into my calculator, kind of like I did in one of my previous lessons with equations, except this time I'm going to do it with an inequality symbol. So my exact original equation, 4x, but instead of the x, I now know that x could be 10. Now here's the tricky part. X is greater than or equal to 10. So I could put 11 in for x. I could put 12 in for x. I could put 45 in for x because all those numbers are greater than 10. However, I couldn't put 9 or 8 or 7 because those numbers are not smaller than 10. The other tricky part, or not tricky part, but the other thing is the fact that 10 actually does work because it says or equal to. If I didn't have that or equal to symbol and it was just greater than, technically 10 is not going to work whenever I check my answer. So just to be on the safe side, I'll use 11. So 4 times 11, I use the parentheses, remember, and I scroll outside of the parentheses to type the rest of the equation. Plus 4. Now there, the symbol that we have to find, we have to press Control equals, and it brings up a little tab thing right here for me to go click the exact symbol that I needed. And then I say 2 times, with parentheses, x, which we decided is going to be 11 because it is greater than or equal to 10. 11 plus 12. All right, let's see. The answer says true, which means that we found numbers that work. We got our answer correct. All right, let's move on to the next example. Example number 2. So I am going to start off by drawing my line and then finding distributive property. Well, wait, there is no distributive property. So you move on. You move on from distributive property on to combining like terms. Now remember, you combine like terms on the same side first, and I notice that I do have like terms on the same side. These like terms are on different sides, so that means we will work with those later. Negative 5x and negative 6x. I'm just going to show you an example of how to type this in. Negative 5 minus 6. Notice I did not say negative 5 minus negative 6. It will not work correctly. Negative 11x minus 4 is less or is greater than 5. All right, the next thing I want to do is take these two and put them together. I'm going to move this negative 4 to this side by adding 4. So I now have a negative 11x with this symbol. Negative 5 plus 4. Remember, this is a negative sign. This is a subtraction sign in the calculator. The calculator needs to be you need to be specific when using the calculator. It will help. All right, equals or is negative 1. Our x is not all the way by itself. We are going to have to divide by negative 11. So cross those out. X is, oh my goodness, wait a second. Here is the kicker. Here is the biggest detail that we cannot forget. You cannot divide, if you divide by a negative, you have to flip the sign. That is the main rule, the only difference in an actual equation. So this sign originally looked like this. It was greater than sign. And now I switched to a less than sign, which means that x is less than 1 over 11. Just so you guys know, this -1 divided by -11 will reduce in your calculator. If you press Control Divide, it will bring up an actual fraction bar, just like we wrote. I'm going to type -1 on top and -11, and your calculator will reduce fractions for you, just so you guys know. All right, enough with the calculator. Let's talk about this last part down here, this last box. It says, don't forget when dividing by a negative, you have to, the answer is flip the sign. Once you are done, that is today's video lesson. See you at Math Workshop.